Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Tuesday edition of the JP Peterson Show here. The best 2 hours of Tampa Bay sports talk you will get each and every day live 10 to noon on 102.5 HD2. Yes, we're back on the radio in a beautiful FM sound. So if you ever want to listen, just lock that into the Strike HD2. That's the Bones secondary HD signal. Yeah, we're back on the radio. So that's fun. You can also always watch us on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and fanstreamsports.com and all those great places. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to jump right into the show here with lots of Buck stuff. Liam Coen will be introduced today as the offensive coordinator for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers after a much ballyhooed search for Dave Canales' successor. We'll get into that. USF has a huge basketball game tonight, prime time on ESPN2. Jim Lighthall, their play-by-play man, is going to join us at 10:30. And we've got Jameis Winston explaining where eating the W's came for. It's going to be fun just to listen to Jameis. And so many more great things to get to. Good morning to you, Tim Ham, IndyCar Tim from our DSP affiliate in Dallas. What's going on, my friend?
Good morning, JP. Good morning, Tampa. It is a brisk, 48 degrees sunny here in Dallas. I don't know what things are like over there.
Dude, yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. I'll take it, though. I'll take it.
Like mid-50s. I love it, too. Absolutely fantastic. People are like, oh, it's so cold. I'm like, do you not remember what 8 months of 95 degrees and 90% humidity is? Just enjoy. Enjoy, my friends.
We had 48 days last summer of over 105 degrees in a row.
Really?
Yeah, it was nuts. So I'll take this any day, man.
Absolutely brutal. Scott Reynolds going to join us here in just a few minutes off the top, as he is normally comes on at 10:30, but we have the Liam Coen press conference coming up today, the Bucs' new offensive coordinator. And the more you look into this cat, the more you kind of like him, at least from my perspective. And if you think about it, his credentials supersede Dave Canales' credentials when he arrived here. I don't know if he's going to win the press conference like Dave Canales did. Dave's obviously is a very polished speaker, very highly motivational and intentional man, and he certainly wooed everyone with his press conference. We'll see what Liam Coen is able to do. But in the in the few days since his announced signing here, you look at what Kentucky did, you look at what he did with the Rams, and a lot of people a little skeptical about some of the numbers when he was calling plays. And he did actually call the plays in 2022 when the Rams had just turned into a dumpster fire because they had no offensive line. Matthew Stafford was down for the count. They brought in Baker Mayfield from Carolina just to try and salvage the season. And so they did work together, and Liam Coen did call the plays. And it was, they scored 51 points in one game. He had a late comeback in his first game, a couple of late drives to win a game. So when you went back and looked at that, you were like, wow, Baker's, the dude can play. The dude can play. There's no question he's got talent. He's got great improvisational skills. He's a great leader. You can just see it. Guys love him. And all of that has kind of come to fruition. So Liam Coen was there for that particular time for Baker, which really, when you think about it, was the first step in his rehab. If you want to go back that far, that was the first step where we were like, you know what, maybe this whole, Cleveland bouncing him out of town and then whatever happened in Charlotte was just ridiculous because the Panthers were a dumpster fire. So you don't pay any attention to that. So this was kind of the first step in seeing, what, Baker can play. Baker can play. And Liam Coen was there. Clearly they struck up a relationship. Baker's endorsement of him at the Pro Bowl could not have been more effusive in his praise. So all of this points to a really good connection with the new OC, and then the continuity that's going to come along with it with the system. So to dive into more of that, let's bring in the man from Pewter Report, Scott Reynolds, who has been doing a lot of research on Liam Coen, and he joins us now. What's up, Scotty? How are you? First of all, let's take care of business here. K-State, with a huge win last night over Kansas.
Love to see it.
That.
You love to see it.
Yeah.
It's always fun to beat the bullies down the road. So yeah.
Especially when it's Kansas. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Hey, UCF beat Kansas, so is it really?
That's true. And we beat UCF, so there's that.
There you go.
There you go.
Kansas State is kicking ass.
Not our best year. We're not the Elite Eight team we had last year. Matter of fact, we only have one returning starter from that team. So we lost 4 in a row before this game. So we do have wins over number 9 Baylor, number 4 KU. We should be a tournament team. We'll see how this version of Jerome Tang's Wildcats come together, but the future looks promising. We have a really good recruiting class coming in. So
well, just as long as your team is in the dance,
that's right. Yeah,
then you get some interest. So
yeah,
I think FSU's on the outside looking in. They got hot for a little bit. Now they've returned to the doldrums. So
yeah,
we'll see if they can get a little magic here down the stretch. All right, but
yeah,
that's not why we're here.
Yeah,
Liam Coen today to be introduced. I was listening to your podcast, your emergency podcast on Liam Cohen's hiring.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about this on Friday, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize till I heard you say it that he actually did call plays for Baker.
He did,
in
yeah.
those last 5 games, which I think is really, I think that's a great head start.
Yeah.
Let's start there as far as their relationship together. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that's the critical thing, right? It's one thing for him to be on the staff in 2022 when Baker was there. It's another thing that he was the play caller because Sean McVay, when they were 3-8, they had that Super Bowl hangover, right? Matthew Stafford got hurt, Cooper Kupp got hurt. So obviously the Rams weren't the Rams in 2022. Not the team that won the Super Bowl for sure. And that's during that time period at the end of the season where Baker was brought in, had that win over the Raiders on the road with like 24 hours to learn his teammates in the playbook. And then, then also too, they had a nice win at the end of the season. They went out there and beat the crap out of the Denver Broncos, put up 51 points. So it's one thing that he was on the staff. It's another thing that he was actually the play caller when Baker Mayfield was there. And so I think that certainly helps the Bucs cause. I think Baker's going to have some suitors, right? I think the blooms coming off the rows of some of these quarterbacks like Bo Nix, Michael Penix, I think they're probably 2nd-round picks. They might get overdrafted, but I think you're looking at 3 quarterbacks in this draft. Caleb Williams, number 1, Drake May, number 2, and Jaden Daniels, number 3. And they might go in that order, 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. And
not to Chicago, of course. Chicago's going to trade out and give that pick up, I think, unless they want Caleb Williams and they'll trade Justin Fields. But so when you look at that and you look at a team like Atlanta who feels like they're a quarterback away, they've got the weapons, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier in the backfield, Jonnu Smith, Kyle Pitts at tight end, Drake London, an emerging star at wide receiver. They've got, I don't know, like 7 Rams coaches on that staff.
Yeah, I know.
Morris, Jimmy Lake, a couple of offensive assistants, Tim Burbinek, who was here in Tampa, and, of course, Zach Robinson, the new offensive coordinator. They might be able to make a strong pitch for Baker Mayfield because of that similar familiarity. But Tampa Bay, I think, did its part, and not just getting somebody who knows Baker, but I think this guy's a really good play caller, right? So he had 2 seasons at Kentucky where he called plays in 2021, and then he got brought back to the Rams, and they had that experience. He got that taste of calling plays again, and he could have stayed with the Rams, right? I mean, he probably would be the offensive coordinator right now for the Rams. The problem is Sean McVay calls the plays,
right?
And so Liam Coen wanted to call plays. That was his heart's desire. And so he went back to Kentucky to call plays. They had a very good year last year at Kentucky. Ray Davis, I think, is an outstanding running back. Devin Leary is a serviceable quarterback. I think he's probably in that John Wolford mode in the NFL, but was a good college quarterback. Started at NC State, had some ups and downs there. So I like the fact that Tampa Bay has maintained its status as maybe the front runner for Baker Mayfield. But at the same time, guys, it's going to come down to dollars and cents because you only have an earnings window that's open for so long, right? And you look at the fact that Baker, had the 1-year prove-it deal for $4 million with incentives that got bumped up to around $7 million. And you look at the average starting quarterback salary, I want to say is $20 million per year. That's the average. That's the rookies on the rookie deals and then the upper echelon guys as well. So if you look at that, Baker Mayfield needs to make up that $13 million somewhere. Oh, and by the way, he also lost $12 million in an investment scheme that went awry. Okay. So now if you look at it from Baker Mayfield's perspective, you're minus 12 million in the hole, and maybe you get that back through litigation. Maybe you don't. You're minus 13 million from this past year in terms of what other starting quarterbacks could have and should have earned. Right. So this is Baker's probably his last chance to cash in on a big contract.
Absolutely.
There may be a hometown discount, but it might be like by $1 million or so. It might be a little bit of, okay, I want to stay here because you're close enough to what Team X is offering. And the teams that could be in the mix, Atlanta Falcons, Minnesota Vikings, if they don't re-sign Kirk Cousins, and it sounds like they might want to move on there, and the Denver Broncos. So
Steelers too.
Maybe the Steelers. So in a draft class that has a lot of quarterbacks, but maybe not a lot that are NFL ready.
Yeah.
And then you throw into the mix that there's really 3 guys in free agency. There's 36-year-old Kirk Cousins coming off of a torn Achilles.
That's a no for me.
Oft injured Ryan Tannehill, and there's Baker Mayfield, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's actually going to be a robust market for Mayfield. And it would be interesting to see if the Bucs can get him signed before free agency hits, or are they not going to be allowed to? Does Baker want to say, I appreciate your overtures, I'll consider your offer, I want to see what the market says?
Man, that sucks. That sucks. I would have liked to have gotten it done, as I know they started these talks a while ago. With Baker, and maybe Baker was like, you know what, let's see how this all plans out and bet on himself. I think he's smart enough to know the unknown.
Yeah.
Right. Although you bring out some great points, he knows a lot of those people in Atlanta.
Right.
So it's not an unknown.
Right.
Maybe other places, not as much. But yeah, the Atlanta thing scares me. And for them to be able to come in here and poach Baker Mayfield.
Oh, yeah, it's a double whammy. Yeah.
Bucks in a lurch. That's something high on
sure.
the list of
Arthur Blank is 81 years old. Okay.
His team has start over with a rookie.
No, his team has been to 2 Super Bowls and they're 0-2. The Bucs have been to 2 and they're 2-0, right?
With free agent quarterbacks.
Arthur Blank wants to see his Atlanta Falcons win a Super Bowl before he dies. Okay. And he knows that 81, right? I mean, yesterday is a given. Tomorrow is not promised. And
clock's ticking.
Clock's ticking. Exactly. And so if you feel like you're a quarterback away, you're interested in Baker Mayfield because of that. And the interesting thing too is he's coming off of the Pro Bowl, right? I mean, it's the Pro Bowl. It's a cheesy skills competition.
Yeah.
But you know what? It doesn't hurt the fact that he won the precision passing contest as the MVP. Injury replacement. It doesn't hurt that he's the offensive MVP. It doesn't. Yeah. It's like a little plus, right? It's like if you grade him as a B in free agency, it's a B plus. If you grade him as an A, it's an A plus. So.
But Justin Fields is from Atlanta. Come on. That's a much better fit for you guys, Raheem. Come on.
Sure.
Wait, I thought we were talking about quarterbacks. Bring him up for.
Look at the upside. Look at the ceiling on this cat. Are you kidding me? He's from Atlanta. He's younger. He's more dynamic. I'll
tell you what, the interesting thing about Chicago is, and I've always thought, Justin Fields in a system similar to what Dave Canales has, I think that's his fit.
Yeah.
I think it's that play action, bootleg, waggle, one read, right? Where it's a flood concept. All the options are at levels, short, intermediate, and deep. And you know what? Shane Waldron from Seattle, who was the coordinator with the Seahawks, that Dave really wanted that job, but they gave it to Shane Waldron instead. He's now the offensive coordinator. So it'd be interesting to see if Chicago is still going to bet on this guy or if they're going to pull the trigger and get Caleb Williams.
Well, it's great that they have options. I think they're going to trade Justin
Fields. Yeah.
And I think the obvious target is Atlanta. So that becomes, for Buccaneer fans, because I would think Atlanta could probably outbid Tampa Bay. And
they could.
Yeah, and you don't want to necessarily get into a bidding war for Baker Mayfield. And the Bucs could pivot and say, okay, you don't want Justin Fields, we'll take him.
Yeah.
The problem with that is you're giving up assets.
True.
You got to give up at least a 2 and maybe even
I don't think Jason Light wants to give up any assets. There are holes in this team, right? This team finished 9-8, wasn't 12-5, and I also too think that when you look at a player like Justin Fields, there's a tantalizing upside there, but I just get the feeling it's almost like Lamar Jackson, where it's just like I just don't think this guy is going to win, a Super Bowl, right? And it's like when you look at those guys that rely on their legs so much, and it's an integral part of their game. Michael Vick was that way. Randall Cunningham was that way. It's like they're good, they're tantalizing. The highlight reel is tremendous, but are they good enough passers to take that team to the next level? And it's like, if it wasn't going to be this year in Baltimore, I don't know when it's going to be. I don't think Lamar Jackson is as skilled enough as a passer to ever beat Patrick Mahomes head to head. And you got to do that. I mean, even though it's offense versus defense and not offense versus offense, you got to be able to outduel the other quarterback in the playoffs. And I just don't think that in that matchup it's ever going to be. And even if the Bills had beaten, the Chiefs, I don't think that he outduels Josh Allen in a big game environment like that.
I agree. And listen, I want to get back to Liam Coen here in a second, but this is a great discussion because it involves all of this.
Yeah.
And I do think this, one thing that Arthur wants more than anything else is relevancy. Arthur Blank we're talking about in Atlanta, and his team is not only have they had 6 straight losing seasons, but they don't put more people in there for soccer than they do for football. Right. He needs to sell tickets.
Yeah.
And I think Justin Fields sells more tickets in Atlanta. Baker Mayfield.
I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of buzz around.
I work there, partner.
Well, yeah.
Let me tell you.
I understand what you're saying. And listen, the Michael Vick effect was real, right? Michael Vick was a phenomenon up there.
They will sell him as the second coming of Michael Vick and coming home to Atlanta.
I got it.
And all that, and Zach,
I got it.
With that offense, with Zach Robinson, that's just the offense that it's the same offense, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot. I just think it sells better. I don't know. I think you might win more games, especially early on with Baker.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Let's hope they think that way.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to get a bidding war for Baker Mayfield.
I don't either, because I like Baker up until a certain price, right?
Exactly. I'm not going to get crazy about this.
Right. And the problem that I see is if I'm Baker Mayfield, right? I tell the Buccaneers, hey, like the whole Geno Smith thing. Yeah, no, we're not doing the 3-year, $75 million, $25 million per year. I'm better than Geno Smith, right? And that was a deal that was done last year. We're a couple of years removed from that now.
Right.
And I'm looking at the quarterbacks making more money than myself. Ryan Tannehill was bumping 30.
Yep.
And I'm better than the oft injured Ryan Tannehill. Hell, Daniel Jones is making $40 million per year.
I knew you were going there.
I'm better than Daniel Jones. And even my replacement in Cleveland, Deshaun Watson, $46 million. I mean, I've done better in Tampa in 1 year than he's done in a year and a half in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And he's making $46 million. Now, again, if I'm the Buccaneers,
nearly as many massage therapists.
That's true. Exactly. Yeah.
Not even close.
Yeah. I mean, and why would you? You got Baker's wife. I mean, it's like, that's all you need. But my point is this: when you look at the Buccaneers' perspective, it's like, was this his ceiling? Right. I mean, I think there's probably a season where he gets 30, 31 touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
But is 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 4,000 yards, is it going to be better than that? Again, all right, fine. 4,200 yards, maybe 30 touchdowns, right? Yeah. Is it going to be 10 interceptions, or is it going to be 12 or 14, right? I think Baker's at his ceiling now, right? And so if you're paying the ceiling price, then you have to expect this to be sustained over 3 years. Can Baker Mayfield replicate this? And really, it'd be 4 years. If you sign to a 3-year deal, you're expecting, okay, what you did this year, is this going to be the Baker we're going to get for the next 3 years?
And it should get better.
It should, but
it should.
But I mean, we had to remember there was the Eagles game, yay. There was the Packers game, yay. There was the Falcons game, boo. There was the Panthers game, boo. The Saints game, boo. So he is a bit of a mercurial roller coaster type quarterback. He's not going to be that steady Eddie great guy that you're going to get from Mahomes every week, that you're going to get from Tom Brady every week. He's just not that guy.
And he gets dinged up.
And he gets dinged up, right? And he answered the bell 17 times this year. Is that going to happen every single year going forward? It did with Tom Brady, and we got spoiled. And that was the one kind of unwritten proclamation about Brady's time in Tampa. He never missed a game. The dude never really got hurt. He came here with a knee injury, played through it, won a Super Bowl, right? But never missed a game. So that's the thing that scares me. So therefore, you can't throw $40 million at Baker Mayfield. Can you throw 30? I think you're probably going to have to.
Yeah.
But then where's that red line? Is it 32? Is it 35?
If I'm Baker Mayfield, I'm telling Jason Light, look, what do I need to get here? Where can we be where we can bring back Mike Evans? There's still money for Tristan, and there's still money for Antoine Winfield. We got to be able to put the band back together.
That's true.
Baker has to understand. I mean, he's got a kid coming in April. Does he really want to
understand that, JP? I'm just telling you, the extenuating circumstances are your Window's earning window is open for so long, right? He's going to be 29 in April, right? You have this contract, and by the time this contract, wherever it is, whatever city it's in, whatever it looks like financially, right? The next time he's going to be up for free agency, probably 32, 33.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe he's still alive and kicking at that time. Maybe he's going to cash in like Kirk Cousins is at 36. Maybe not.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's like, this is your opportunity. As much as you love Tristan Wirfs, as much as you love Mike Evans, as much as you love Jason Light and Todd Bowles and City of Tampa and the Rays and the Lightning and everything that's cool here. At the end of the day, this is a business, and guess what? Business is about to begin because it's business time when it comes to March and free agency.
All right, if you guys think that, oh, sorry, JP. If you guys think that this is Baker's ceiling, right, where the way he played this year, 28 touchdowns, 10, 15 interceptions, whatever. If you got to pay him $30 to $35 million a year, which is almost looking like what the number might be.
Yeah.
Does that leave enough money for the team to get better around him to make the team better? See, because you can't handcuff yourself.
That's right.
$35 million a year Baker.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You're going to get the same result you got this year.
Exactly. No, you're right. And see, that's the thing. If it's 30, it's one thing. If it's 35, it's another. And granted, you can manipulate the cap number. Mike Greenberg's the best at it. He'll bring that first year cap number down, right? But at the same time, if you're going to spend $5 more million on Baker than you might want to, right, that might get you that veteran center or guard that you need in free agency, right? That might get you that kind of 1 year prove it deal for like a Josh Uche, pass rusher from New England. That the same kind of deal that you gave Baker, the same kind of deal you gave Shaq Barrett in 2019. Like, come down to Tampa, get your pass rush going down here. You can slide in for Shaq Barrett, right? And but then with that extra $5 million, you don't get that guy. You don't get that veteran center, that veteran guard, where you gotta now you got to go in the draft, and now you've got another rookie in that interior offensive line instead of a veteran. So that's where it becomes a little dicey. There's only a pie that's so big, and when you start cutting bigger slices, and you got Antoine Winfield, and you got Mike Evans, you got Chase McLaughlin, you got Levante David, and you got Baker, and you look to Atlanta. They got 25, 26 million, and they can create more cap room. And they don't have any free agents that they really have to have back.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a fascinating offseason. And the fact that they went and got Liam Coen is a big deal because Baker, as we mentioned, has that relationship. Talk a little bit about what Baker said at the Pro Bowl and how you think Liam fits in with exactly where Baker's skill set is.
Well, I mean, my first choice would have been Liam Neeson because he has a special set of skills, right? But it was Liam Coen, and so we'll live with that. Okay. The thing I like about Coen is he's a young, inventive mind. He's a real positive, upbeat guy. Probably not going to win the Sunshine Award that Dave Canales is going to win every year for just being, REM shiny happy people, but he's a very smart guy that you can just tell has absorbed all that knowledge from Sean McVay. He's got some McVay principles about him. I watched a great kind of instructional video that he did at the University of Kentucky last offseason before the 2023 season, but he'd already been there in 2021, working with Will Levis, Wan'Dale Robinson, their star receiver at the time. And he believes in the principle of players over plays. And I love that because, and he even admits, he said, hey, it might be third down and you might not love the play because it might not be designed to get 10 yards on 3rd and 10, but we're going to go to Wan'Dale Robinson on the 7-yard hitch, and we're going to trust our playmaker to make somebody miss and get the first down, because instead of going with the play that's going to get the yards, we're going to go to the player.
I love that.
And I love it too, because how many times did we see on 3rd down, they're going to Cade Otton. On 3rd down, they're going to Trey Palmer. On 3rd down, they're going to Devin Tompkins. And you're like, why aren't you throwing to Mike Evans?
What are we doing?
Why aren't you throwing to Chris Godwin?
Because he's double covered.
He also has on his play sheet, and it's all broken down like every play sheet is, right? You've got your 1st and 10 calls, you got your red zone calls, you got your goal to go calls, all those. He's got a list that just says playmakers. And I love that. Yeah, and it's a constant reminder on the sheet of how many touches. And he said, like, in 2021, we had Wan'Dale Robinson. He was the guy where we wanted to get 10 targets his way. And he would tally every time, like he would call a play going to Wan'Dale Robinson. So we had a visual. It's the first half. How many times do we see Mike Evans, 1 target or no targets, or Chris Godwin completely forgotten, right? And so he's got a visual on there that says playmakers. Got to get my playmakers the ball. And I don't think it's going to be a problem with him because his mantra is players over plays. And I think it's proven in this league and in any league in football. If you get your playmakers the ball, you're going to win games. You're going to score points. You're going to get yards. You're going to get first downs, all the good stuff that comes with it. And so I like that part of it. He also said that at Kentucky, they spend as much time on 3rd downs as they do in their base plays. So their 3rd down calls and their red zone, they spend just as much time with that as they do any other type of situational type thing. Like they don't wait. He's like, we don't waste time on 4-minute offense. A 4-minute offense, you're just running your plays that you like, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's all about situational football. But the 2 biggest situations are 3rd downs and red zone. And he even has an expanded thing. Instead of the 20 and in, he calls it the strike zone instead of the red zone. The strike zone is the 30 and in. Yeah. Because once you get around to the 20-yard line, you start to see defenses change. They get what they like to do in base, and they start to either drop 8 or they bring pressure with a zero safety look, right? So it's in the red zone, whether it's the 20, whether it's the 10, whether it's the 5, whatever, that's where defenses start to change. And he likes taking shots in that fringe area before you get to the red zone, before they change. He has some plays from the 30 in. And I just thought it's an interesting little concept. He also says that he has a special column for 4th downs, because a lot of times what coaches will do is if it's 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, they will use a play call that they used on 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2, right? Right. The defense has already seen that. They've already seen that formation, and that's why sometimes, a lot of times, 4th downs don't work, because they're running what they ran in short yardage situations before. Gotcha. So he says you have to have a specific set of plays for 3rd down and then for 4th down. And he says 4th down is the even more important down. Because if you screw up on 3rd down, you can either punt on 4th or you can go for it on 4th. Yeah. But if you don't get it on 4th, it's a turnover. And he even has 4th and 1, 4th and 2 to 3, 4th in 4 to 6, 4th from 7 to 10, and 4th from 10 plus. Yeah. So he's got specific plays that he won't call in the game, right, that the defense won't see unless it's a fourth down in those certain situations. And I just think it's kind of forward thinking. It's a very kind of present day intellectual football.
Yeah.
And the last thing is he uses a lot of motion. He will use motion, whether it's a motion to receiver, motion to back out, and he will do that to tell not just the quarterback but the entire offense, is it man or zone?
Zone, yeah.
Right. And then it whittles that playbook down for the defense, right? If it's zone and it's 3rd and 10, we know we're going to get these pressures. It's either going to be this, or this, right? Instead of having to prepare for 20 different things and guess, now you've whittled it down 3rd and 10 by going in this, either the back motions or the receiver motions. And it's giving the players the information to succeed.
Yes.
And I think this guy is going to have a higher ceiling than Dave Canales as a play caller. I'm not saying he's going to be a head coach next year, but as a play caller, I think the Buccaneers can hit the ground running faster this year because he's got 2 years of play calling in Kentucky, plus some play calling back at the FCS level, and about a third of a season play calling in the NFL.
Yeah,
where Dave, I love the guy. It was a learning curve from day one. It got better as the season went on, but I think there's a chance to have some early season success. Some of the concepts are going to be familiar and similar to what Dave ran. But I think this, instead of being elementary, I think this can be intermediate. And then a year 2 or 3 with this guy, I think he can get to advanced.
Continuity, man. You're perfecting an offense now instead of learning it. And that's a huge difference. All right, Scotty, I know you got a press conference to get to. We'll expect all these great questions. Tell everybody what you got coming up on Pewter Report.
More Liam Coen / Liam Neeson content coming today. I'm going to be doing a series on breaking down Taken 2 and Taken 3. In addition to that, we'll have all of the news and notables from the Liam Coen press conference at One Buck Place, which will be at noon today. We're also doing our podcast today at 4:00 live. We're live Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays in the off season. 4 straight days of the Pewter Report podcast live at 4:00 on Pewter Report TV. That's our YouTube channel. Come join the over 13,000 Pewter people that are subscribers. It's free. That's all you have to do. And if you miss our live show, great news is we've got it all archived. You can watch it or listen to it in podcast format on iTunes for the audio version, or you can watch it live with the video version on Pewter Report TV. You can also find us on X, Instagram, and Facebook at Pewter Report, and of course the mothership, pewterreport.com, where you have all the stories and content for you.
You guys are everywhere. Thank you, Scotty. Great stuff,
guys.
my man.
Congrats. It's Tim, JP. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, quick break. When we come back, Jim Lighthold's going to join us, play-by-play man, for your USF Bulls. Huge game tonight with Charlotte. We are brought to you by the great folks at the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES, lawgroup.com. You can contact them through the website and get your free case evaluation. Scotty's going to join us tomorrow at 11:30 to go over the FSU lawsuit. So we'll have that for you. Quick break. Jim Lighthall coming back on the other side. Stay with us. JP here from my friends at your local Synovus Bank, and I do mean friends, and I do mean local. One of the local managers in Tampa is John Acosta, big fan of the show, and I've known him for over 40 years. He's been in local banking since 1983. You talk about developing relationships. You don't stick around for that long unless you're doing things the right way and have a great reputation, and that's the focus company-wide at Synovus. Big enough to handle any complex international transaction, but small enough to answer the phone when you have an urgent question about your business or personal account. And for personal accounts, they have a very easy app that works great. You can do everything online. And for large or small businesses, you will get that personal touch and services to help build your business, taking your dreams and aspirations from the whiteboard to reality. We can make that happen. Let us show you how. For a get-acquainted meeting to open a business or personal account, just call John or go to synovus.com to find out where your local branch is. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just
get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on TrueBody and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson, so if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here as we are brought to you by the great folks at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Get your immune system fired up at BAMMC.com. They'll look at all your blood work, spend time with you, like an hour or more, looking at your blood work and developing a personal plan just for you. So don't be going into these appointments where you get 15 minutes, they write you a script and you're gone. They'll spend time with you and look at what's happening in your life in terms of sleep, what you're eating, how you're working out. It's Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Get that personal plan at BAMMC.com. All right, let's welcome in a longtime friend and colleague, Jim Lighthall, the play-by-play man for your USF men's basketball, who are on fire. They've won 13 of 14, 7 in a row, breaking all types of program records. Jimmy, congratulations on the success for the Bulls. How's it going? And we got a big game tonight. This is going to be fun, right?
Yeah, thanks, JP. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. We've really been on a roll. It's been a ton of fun. Anyone that's lived in the Tampa Bay area for the last few years knows how much deserved this is, how much needed this is in the basketball community for sure. And boy, they are really playing well and rolling right now.
All right, well, let's the obvious, the man of the hour is Amir Abdul-Rahim, who came from Kennesaw State, took them to the tournament last year, comes here and has immediate success. Old Coach Z was on with me last week and said it's not a stretch to say this is the greatest first-year basketball coaching we've seen ever at USF. So talk a little bit about the coach and what he's brought to the table.
Yeah, he's really a calming influence, JP. I've never been around a coach who is as calm, cool, and collected at all times. Even when in the middle of a game, it seems like his hair should be on fire. It doesn't have any hair, but it should be on fire. He seems to really be in his element the entire time. The first couple games I saw him, I was really taken back at how collected he was on the sideline. Now, there are times when he gets a little amped up and says something to an official, but that's not really very often. And that's what he does on the floor is what he does off the floor. This is the way he carries himself all the time. So, when we're traveling, when we're on the plane, when we're eating, when we're in the hotel, when we're doing pregame interviews, this is the guy that he is all the time. And that really carries over to his players all the time.
So, it's interesting when you see coaches like that. So you kind of get the feeling, and we see it with football coaches and Tony Dungy, and you kind of feel, well, where's the fire coming from? This team plays with incredible fire. They play with ferocity. Just talk about the style and how he's kind of built that and the way they play.
Well, he had a motto when he came here, and they've really stayed to that motto, and it's gritty, not pretty. He doesn't care how the other team plays. You want to play in the 90s? Fine. You want to play in the 50s? Fine. They're not scared of playing any type of style, any kind of opponent. And that kind of comes across as arrogant maybe, but that's just the way that they're wired. That's just the way that they're built, because they can get out and run, or they can play defense and grind it out. When he came here, he wanted to play a little more up-tempo. They wanted to get out and transition and run, and they do that. They average 75, 76 points per game, which by college basketball standards is pretty good, and yet they're holding opponents under 70. And you've been around it long enough, and I've been around it long enough to know that 70 points is kind of that watermark in college basketball. You score over 70, you hold your opponents under 70, you're going to win about 75% of your games doing that.
Well, talk to me a little bit about the roster. Knox from here locally, Pryor's come in and been a hell of a player. Chris Youngblood's been leading them in scoring the past few games. Take me through the roster. I may be going to the game tonight, so I have to know who's who and what to look for here. So give me the scouting report on USF.
First of all, tough seat getting into the building tonight from what I hear. I mean, 9:00 start. The students.
I know people.
The students are going to drive this whole thing. I mean, if they're there, and let's face it, college kids are up late. This is right in their wheelhouse, 9 p.m. start. So it's going to be a fun environment there tonight for sure. I guess let's start with the guys that came back, first of all, because you only had 3 guys that came back from last season's team. Selton Miguel has really been the heartbeat, I think, of this team, and he doesn't get enough credit. He had an opportunity to leave. He had already transferred here from Kansas State. And let me say right up front, the 3 guys that stayed, Selton Miguel, Corey Walker Jr., and Sam Hines Jr., had all transferred in once before. So they were kind of on that bubble where if they left, they run the risk of not being eligible again. Of course, the NCAA came out and said that most of the second-time transfer guys were eligible to play right away, but they didn't know that at that time. So they all stayed. And Selton Miguel has now been coming off the bench. He's instant offense off the bench. I mean, he's kind of that Vinnie Johnson guy where he's a microwave, where he comes on and he immediately starts scoring. He can get to the basket. He can shoot the 3. I mean, here's a guy who was shooting 31%, I think, last year from 3. Now he's shooting 43%, and that has just come down from 50%. And he would be amongst the nation's leaders if he had enough attempts.
Right.
So he's been really a guy that's driven them. And then you take a look at the 3 guys that came from Kennesaw. Cason Jennings, we have not seen this year. Hurt his foot, has been out the whole year. And about a week ago, they announced that he is going to redshirt. So we're not going to see him at all this year. Brandon Stroud is kind of a glue guy. Defensive player of the year in the ASUN a season ago. 6'6", wiry, rebounds, tremendous effort. He's been sensational over the last 2 weeks for them. Really gotten it going. And gives them a spark. He's been starting. And then Chris Youngblood, the guy that you just mentioned, I can't remember being around a kid that's more mature, more collected than Chris Youngblood is. I mean, he acts like he's 32 years old. He's been around a winning team. Kennesaw State goes to the NCAA tournament last year. He's been around a losing team when they won 1 game. So he has seen both ends of the spectrum. He brings this kind of leadership like I have never seen before. It doesn't matter if they're up 10, down 10. His play is the same. He's calm, he's cool, he's collected. He's a direct reflection of Amir Abdul-Rahim. It's the only coach he's ever played under, so this is what he knows. And this is the kind of influence that Amir has on his players. And for Chris Youngblood, he takes guys like Jaden Reed, who's a true freshman point guard, and takes him under his wing and teaches him. This is how you play for this guy. This is how you play college basketball, and this is how you conduct yourself. And, I asked Chris a couple of weeks ago in a post-game interview, I said, I saw you put your arm around Jaden Reed, who was really having a tough game at the Yuengling Center one night. I think it was against Temple. Here's a kid who doesn't turn the ball over very much. He had 3 turnovers, couldn't make a shot, couldn't do anything. Chris throws his arm around the freshman coming out of a huddle and just talks to him, going all the way out on the floor. And he does this all the time. He gets after Jaden Reed in the line at the pregame meal the other day at North Texas, telling him this is how you go through the line in the meal. I mean, he's teaching him everything.
I love it.
So it's just the way the kid is. He's a tremendous shooter. His 3-point shooting has gone through the roof over the last month. He started really slow, but he's been a great shooter. And then you have a guy like Jose Placer, who came from North Florida. Tremendous 3-point shooter, great scorer, had some 30-point games there. You think Amir Abdul-Rahim wasn't interested in him because When he was at North Florida, they played Kennesaw State. He went 10 for 15 from 3 against Amir. Amir is just like, I don't need to see proof of purchase here. I'm sold on this kid. So when he came down, he made the pitch, and Placer ends up coming. So you have some complementary players, obviously, as well. But those are really the main drivers through this whole thing.
Now that is a complete game review there of all these and scouting report, especially the inline thing. So was it more of like a tongs thing? Like you never leave the tongs in the plate. You put them on the placeholder, kid. Come on now.
He made Jaden Reed put the plate down and start over again at the front of the line. I'm telling you, that's if you want to exude
salad
excellence,
first.
Yeah.
Salad first.
Yeah. They're not gonna half-ass anything. Yeah.
Dinner fork, salad fork, soup spoon.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Get your utensils before, not after. Come on, you're gonna need that.
Jim, Chris is averaging just short of 30 minutes a game here throughout the season. I know these guys are young. Is that something he can maintain throughout the end of the year here and keep that rhythm up?
Yeah, I really think it is, Tim. I think it's something that he can do throughout the course of the season. They've kind of played 8 players here for the last couple of games because Sam Hines Jr. has been out with a lower body injury, so they've had to play 8. I didn't mention Kobe Knox. That's another guy that started every game this season for them. Tampa Catholic kid, came from Grand Canyon. So they are deep. And everybody that comes off the bench is capable of scoring. They've been in the top 35 in the NCAA all season long in bench scoring. And it helps that Selton Miguel is averaging 14.5 every time off the bench. But even when he was starting, which he did when Placer got hurt and missed 5 or 6 games, they were still pouring in 20, 25, 30 every night off the bench. So, yeah, I think he can play 30. He doesn't have to play 30, but he can.
All right, so let's talk about tonight's activities with Charlotte. I mean, you're tied for the number 1 spot in the AAC. This is, I don't know how many teams get in from this conference. Maybe you could shed a little light on that. Obviously, it'll depend on who gets the automatic bid, but I think it's going to be more than 1, right? It's going to be maybe up to 3, depending on how the rankings are. So, how big is this game tonight in terms of seeding? All those things that go into the postseason.
Yeah, great question. And let me start by selling the sizzle a little bit here because Charlotte, they've reeled off 8 wins in a row. Bulls have 7 wins in a row. Both teams are 8-1 in the league, but Charlotte was picked 13th out of 14th in the preseason. Wow. So, it's not automatic that everybody says Amir Abdul-Rahim is the coach of the year in this league. I don't think that's automatic simply because the Charlotte bunch has a brand new coach. Their coach left and went to Virginia to be the top assistant to Tony Bennett. So they won the CBI last year. It's not like they didn't have success last year, but they have a new coach as well. So a team that was picked second to the last in the league to be sitting where they're sitting, it's equally as impressive as what USF has done.
All right.
So you take a look at this matchup tonight, and really it's kind of contrasting styles. Charlotte is big. They've got 5 kids that are 6'10" or taller on their roster.
Holy crap.
Yeah, they're I think they're the 5th tallest team in the country at an average of 6'5.5". They've got some guys. They've got 3 starters back from last year's team that, as I said, won the CBI. They don't like to get up and down the floor quite as much as USF. They average about 69 points a game. They don't shoot the ball very well from 3. They're really an old school team. This is a team that you could take out of 23, 24 and plug into like 84, 85. When a team made
pound it down low.
Yeah, when they made 70 or 83s as a team. This is kind of the way Charlotte is built and wired, but they're a lot like USF in the fact that they will play a lot of different players and a lot of different guys can score.
Jim Lighthall joining us here, USF men's basketball play-by-play man. All right, well, sell me a little sizzle on the Yingling Center. I haven't been there in a bit, so this place should be packed tonight, 9 o'clock. It's been, if you haven't been there in many years, it's been completely renovated. Give me the vibe you expect tonight.
Yeah, let's go back to last year. I'll give Brian Gregory, the former coach, some credit. We sat in a meeting the summer of 2022, actually, and we sat and he's like, look, he goes, we have to do something to create an environment inside this building. We have to make this a tough place to play. So there were many discussions with marketing. There were Brian Gregory said, "I'll give some of my money from the basketball budget to do whatever we should do." They end up creating this SoFlo Rodeo, which is the new student thing. This was started by a guy at Grand Canyon University, ironically enough. If you've ever seen video of their games and their student section, it's absolute insanity there. And there was a guy that was part of that started that, and he has now started a company and says, I can go and I can build this and do this at other schools. In fact, we were just at North Texas this weekend, and they have what they call the Maniacs, and their student section is out of control. So this is, and let's face it, guys, when you go to a college event, the students drive the whole thing.
Yeah,
they're the heartbeat.
Atmosphere. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, you can have people sitting on their hands, but if the students are going bonkers, everybody goes bonkers. Yeah. So then we fast forward, and this thing started last year. This SoFlo Rodeo is what the student sections call themselves. And it started last year. It really started to take off. It's starting to take off. Well, it's taken off now this year. And the attendance for each of the home games, and let's face it, winning helps. I mean, we all know that. You win games, you play exciting, you dunk, you get 3-pointers, that gets people in the seats. And the attendance has gone up by about 500 each of the last 4 home games, I think, because the fire is starting to go here. So I'm expecting a big crowd tonight. We had over 5,000 for the last home game. I'm expecting 55, maybe 6 tonight. And then don't even bring up the FAU game right now, because I've got ticket requests coming out both ears.
Sold out.
There's a lot of talk that it could be. I don't know if we're going to be at that point, but I mean, you're talking 10,401 to sell the place out, but they're selling tickets in the third level for FAU. And if the Bulls are unbeaten up until February 18th, say they win tonight, say they win the next couple of games, let's go. Yeah, let's do this thing. So it's a really, really good environment, and the students are educated. They know when and when not to cheer. It's a lot of fun. And listen, Cason Pryor is an odd dude. He's a great player. He does a lot of different things, but the students love that guy, and he's a real driver for them as well.
Yeah, he's an interesting looking cat, no question about it. Well, I tell you, Jimmy, I was a huge fan of college basketball for so many years. I used to do FSU radio for many years with Gene Deckerhoff when FSU first got in the ACC, and we traveled around to Cameron and the Dean Dome and Wake Forest. I mean, it was the best thing but that was back when, that was the heyday of college basketball in the 80s and 90s when, teams stayed together for 3 and 4 years and you knew who the players were. It's just not the same anymore. So I've kind of fallen away from college basketball, but I'm telling you what, man, when you fill up a college basketball arena with a bunch of crazy students and good basketball, that's as entertaining as it gets. So I'm really looking forward to this run, because they've got 4 or 5 home games left, right, this year?
Yeah, that's great. I think there's 5, including tonight. Yeah.
So let's pack the place, man. I was hoping that they would pack it tonight, and I think maybe a little late start will be, for the old heads, a little much to stay up till 9 o'clock just to get the tip. But I think it's going to look great on TV tonight. And if they're tuning in on the radio, where can they find you guys?
Well, they can certainly find us on Bulls Unlimited. We stream all of our games. It's crystal clear. You go to the TuneIn app and just type in Bulls Unlimited. You can listen to it anywhere in the world. And then, of course, on the Strike, 102.5 HD2. It's been a great combination for us to get out there to everybody. Obviously, AM radio was the way to go for so many years, but it was so tough for people to hear it. Even in the parking lot at the Yingling Center, it was very hard. So, this has been a great marriage.
Yeah, so 102.5 HD2, folks. So when you get in your car, just hit this, the seek button or whatever, go through the dials, and you'll see it's the Bone secondary HD2, and it's a gorgeous 50,000 watt, maybe 100,000 watt FM signal that you can I get it over here in Orlando as well. It's fantastic. So check that out. You can listen to all the games live. Listen to the great pipes right there from Jimmy Lighthole. Who does the games with you?
Joey Johnston has been doing the games with me for the last 7 years. Yeah, and I mean, I'm dating both of us, but probably there's no 2 guys in the Bay Area that have seen more USF basketball than the 2 of us. Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. That's I've watched a few games on TV. I caught you guys for just a little bit earlier this year. Forget which game it is, but you do a fantastic job. And it's this is a great season. It's a rebirth for USF basketball. We've been waiting for this for a long time, and I know you have as well. So this is congrats to you, the whole program. It's great that the entire city's getting behind you too. Can't wait for tonight.
Appreciate that, JP. Thank you very much. It's been a ton of fun, and I'll steal the line from Amir Abdur-Rahim when he says, "This ain't the same old South Florida, brother."
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a
not.
different team with a different culture and different results.
Yeah, head on out tonight, folks. If you're not doing anything, or even if you are, change your plans. Head on out to South Florida tonight to the Yuengling Center. Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate it, my man.
Thanks, guys.
Jim Lighthall, USF men's play-by-play. Yeah, it's been a while since I'm trying to think of the last college basketball game I went to. It was a USF game. It was a USF game at, but it was at Amalie Arena. So it wasn't at the Yuengling Center. So you didn't get that same collegiate atmosphere that you normally would get. A little bit more generic, but so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I may get off my ass and go tonight, depending on how I got a bunch of sick people here at my house. So
that means you need to get out of the house.
But have to be a little bit of a caretaker.
I live real close to North Texas. I mean, I'm probably 10 miles away, a little bit to the east, and I spend a lot of time in Denton. Have a lot of buddies that go there. I know the radio team, Dave Barnett, good friend of mine, that does radio call at North Texas, and that's a scene, man. Their basketball games are a scene. I can only imagine what the USF games are like at home.
Yeah, it's been not much for many, many years. When you go that long and you're just completely irrelevant, it's just not much to it. But when you get a little spark, and they have a little spark now, you can build really quickly. And as Jimmy said, man, the students are such an important part of it. They're just such an important part of it. And now that they got them going as well, it's fun. Everybody likes to relive their college days, right? And go back into that collegiate atmosphere. So tonight's a big game for them. Yep. They can get this win at home, and they just keep rolling. They got, I think it's February 20th. They got FAU coming to town, and that will be, I think, without question, a sellout. So hopefully they can put more than 5,500 in tonight. It's gotten a lot of play on social media, so I think they're going to get. I think they're going to get a lot of walk up tonight. Just a lot of, because there's a lot of casual basketball fans here in town that just I'll be like, what? Let's go see a college basketball game tonight. Let's go see what's going on at USF. It'll be fun.
It's a different atmosphere, man. I love it.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back in the 11 o'clock hour, we got a little cornucopia for you. Toby Keith passed away. I'm a huge fan of Toby Keith, so I want to do a couple tributes to him. Raheem Morris spoke to the faithful in Atlanta, former Bucs head coach. So we'll hear from Raheem. And we got to hear from Jameis. Jameis.
Do we have to?
Yeah, it's too much fun. It's just too much fun. He explains how Eat the W's came to be, as only Jameis can do.
Eating the W's.
All right, we're brought to you by the Golden Diamond Source. The Valentine's Day sale is on, folks. Great discounts, great staff. Go get those gift cards so your girl will love shopping at the Golden Diamond Source. If you're thinking about getting engaged, no better place than the Golden Diamond Source. Get that beautiful box right here, the Golden Diamond Source. There it is. Yes, got a ring on Ashley's finger from the Golden Diamond Source. So come on down, 3800 Omerton Road, and check out the great staff and selection at the Golden Diamond Source this Valentine's Day. Back in 3.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity, at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Start the new year with a new diamond from the Gold and Diamond Source. It's still engagement season. Where better to get that special ring than the Gold and Diamond Source? Of course, I just got mine there. I'm engaged. You should do the same thing. Let's go. Gold and Diamond Source has the largest selection of engagement rings in the country. A literal jewelry superstore with 30 times the inventory of any normal jeweler. And if you have a loved one or a special person in your life who has a birthday this month, maybe you have an anniversary coming up, you can get 15% off the January birthstone, which is garnet, as in garnet and gold for all your Seminoles. Celebrate that mythical national championship. And it's the Gold and Diamond Source's 40th anniversary. For the past 40 years, they have taken pride in offering only natural diamonds formed over billions of years from the Earth's incredible forces. And gold prices are at an all-time high. Now's your chance to turn your jewelry box into a cash machine. It's the perfect time to trade in your broken or unworn pieces for something new and stunning. It's the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Omerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the James Peterson Show. Brought to you by our dynamic real estate team of the Geddes Gordon Group. Jay Geddes will find you a great property, whether it's for yourself or investment. And the smart people are getting back in the real estate game right now, folks. They're not waiting till it gets down to the interest rates get down to the 4s or 3s. Heck, they might even go back up. We get in right now where they're in the 5s and lower 6s, where the inventory is good and the prices are still kind of stable right now. Because once they go down, those interest rates go, everybody's jumping back in. Prices are going to go crazy. So if you've been on the sideline, now is a great time to get back in there. So let Jane Geddes find you a property. And my man Scott Fitzgerald will get you the financing you need at American Mortgage Services. Scott at amstampa.com. He'll have the lowest fees. He'll shop your loan around and get you the absolute lowest number and give you some flexibility for the future as well. So it's Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services and Jane Geddes at the Geddes Gordon Group. Tim Ham is with me here for the second hour, my friend. We've covered the Bucs. We've covered USF basketball. And now it's time to get into some of the other fun shenanigans that's going around. I didn't see too much from last night's media circus at the Super Bowl. I tell you what, I kind of miss the old media day, but it got too crazy. It got too bananas. It just became all about people showing up in stupid costumes and stuff like that, which I don't know.
I'm not all about that.
I guess it's the Super Bowl. But nobody said anything stupid last night for the most part. But I just love the matchup. The 49ers, the Brock Purdy, the Patrick Mahomes. And I think more than anything, the Patrick Mahomes. The matchup with he and Purdy, I think, is incredible. My friend Sal Palantonio put out a numbers thing. He did a Brock Purdy interview last night that's up on SportsCenter that you have to check out. But these numbers, including the playoffs, are pretty interesting. So this is, there's a lot that people say, well, Purdy gets most of his yards from yards after the catch, right? It's all Yak, it's all Debo, it's all Ayuk, etc., right? Well, per game, Yak per game, Mahomes 154, Purdy 122. So actually, Patrick Mahomes gets more Yak per game. Percent of the yards from Yak, Mahomes 60%, Purdy 46%. So Mahomes much more. Percentage of attempts behind the line of scrimmage, Mahomes 32%, Purdy 21%. Interesting. Average depth of target, you would think Mahomes, right? Nope. Purdy 7.9 yards to Mahomes 6.2. So Purdy pushing the ball down the field more than Patrick Mahomes. Interesting. Expected completion percentage, Mahomes 68.4%, Purdy, 66.6%. So right, almost exactly the same. Average target separation, Mahomes, 4.1 yards. Purdy, 3.6. So those terrible receivers in Kansas City are getting open more than the great receivers of San Francisco. Percentage of wide open throws, 5+ yards. Mahomes, 30%. Purdy, 22%. Purdy's tight window throws are top 5 in the league, as is his completion percentage. Every one of his major metrics, top 5 in the league.
Yeah.
And completion percentage into tight windows, Mahomes, 25%. Purdy, 39%.
Wow.
I was listening on Get Up this morning, and Louis Riddick was talking about this. He goes, it's interesting. If you talk to GMs and you talk to personnel people and say, let's talk about Justin Herbert, vis-a-vis Brock Purdy. Oh my God, I would much rather have Justin Herbert. I mean, look at the guy, 6'5", 235 pounds, with just a cannon for an arm. I mean, that guy is just so freaking good. And you look at his numbers compared to Brock Purdy. I mean, they're not even close.
They're not even close.
From the efficiency standpoint, they're not even close.
No, but you know what that's a product of?
Yeah.
Product of who's been coaching him the last couple of years. Not to say that Purdy's not as good as or better even than Herbert, but I think when we see Herbert's numbers here in the next couple of years, I think that might change.
Yeah, it might. Or maybe, Justin Herbert, just because you're 6'5" and you have a cannon for an arm doesn't mean you can throw with anticipation. Doesn't mean you can throw with accuracy. Doesn't mean you know how to, to lead guys into open windows. So, Justin Herbert is an absolute specimen. But so far, his resume as a quarterback is not great.
No.
And everybody wants to put it on the coaching staff. And I get it. I get it. Staley was a knucklehead. I get it. But at some point, your greatness should show through. And it does at times with Justin Herbert. I get it. But the lack of respect for Brock Purdy, I think, is just so misplaced. And It's one of the reasons I'm really rooting for, one of the many reasons, I'm rooting for the 49ers. It starts with Johnny Lynch, their GM. But Brock Purdy is the guy who I just think is so disrespected. And let's be honest, it's because he's a small white guy. I mean, he's just not a prototypical big dude. And they, and the fact that he's, not the greatest physical specimen, it's like, oh, he's not that athletic. Did you watch some of those plays against Detroit with his feet?
Pretty athletic to me.
Good God. I mean, incredibly athletic. So I like his underdog story. He's not dating Taylor Swift, which I think is a plus.
And look how much money he makes too. Like he's doing all of that for, basically the rookie minimum.
Yeah,
but the whole thing about Purdy for me is I've never been a Purdy hater or disbeliever, but I've never been the guy like, he belongs up there with the best. And because I always wanted to see more, right? I just wanted to see more. But I tell you what, after watching the Lions game, he showed me everything he needed to show me.
Yeah.
I now put him up there. I'm a Purdy believer. I mean, I put him up there with some of the best that are playing right now. I probably put him ahead of Josh Allen. I definitely put him ahead of Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
I don't put him ahead, of course, of Mahomes. But, dude,
I had a Dak.
Oh, yes, please. Who's San Francisco's backup?
Oh God, who is it? It's
whoever it is, he's ahead of Dak too.
Oh my God. Well, listen, Purdy. Well, I mean, this will be his time. Obviously, this is the biggest stage in the world. But when you can play the way he did with those two comebacks that he's pulled off in the last few weeks, that shows me even more. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you do when the pressure is its absolute highest, and this guy's making plays and carrying his team at times with his legs? So I think it's about time that Brock Purdy gets his due. 21-5 as a starter. 21-5.
Yeah.
Here's our good friend Nathan Elliott. Good morning to you. Herbert needs a defense. If there's a defense can play ball, then the requirements of the offense will change. Not to disagree with you. I think that's true. But I'm tired of people making excuses for Herbert. I'm tired of it. I watch him play and I say, wow, he's a specimen. I also watch him make about 7 to 8 throws a game that I go, what the F was that? like completely inaccurate, no anticipation. Just, and I think at some points you rely on your incredible cannon of an arm, and you don't think the game like Brock Purdy thinks the game, because he can't rely on that. So it's a whole different level of play and style of play. And I'm not picking on Justin Herbert. It's more about, it's not what you look like as a quarterback. It's how you play. And at 21-5, 26 games should be a big enough sample size where people can stop saying, oh, it's the system, it's the players around him. Sure, that helps. There's no question about it. But what Brock Purdy is doing is pretty damn special. It's pretty damn special. And the whole idea is you can plug in any quarterback and get those numbers is effing ridiculous. Completely freaking ridiculous.
I mean, Trey Lance couldn't do it.
That's right.
Thank God he's a Cowboy now.
And Jimmy Garoppolo, where his numbers were okay, but they weren't anywhere near what Brock Purdy's numbers are. No, and
that system made, and I'm not a Garoppolo hater either, but the system made Garoppolo look a lot better than he was.
Right. So, look, I think it all combines to work really well for San Francisco. But I think this will be interesting. And I maybe it's more with my heart than my head, but I like the 49ers in this game, and I like them a lot. The underdog has won 14 out of the last 18 Super Bowls, some crazy number. So I don't think it's a far stretch to see these guys winning this particular game.
I just can't cheer for the 49ers. I don't care what my heart. I absolutely
Dallas guy.
They're my second hated NFC or NFL team behind the Eagles. Plus, I want to punch Kyle Shanahan in the face almost as much as I want to punch Nick Sirianni in the face.
It's a hard like.
He needs to learn to wear a freaking hat on the sideline. All right, bend that bill just a little bit. Act your age. You're not in high school. Drives me crazy, man. It drives me crazy.
I love it. All right. Let's get to some fun stuff on the show. So Jameis Winston, and I know I put this up last night. People are like, why do you love Jameis so much? Because he's so kooky. The dude is just kooky.
Radio gold.
He's just fantastic. And like you would think that the whole Eaton W's thing where he looked like a complete idiot. You would think that he would run away from that and he'd never want to talk about it again or just, I don't want to talk. No, he embraces it. He's like the honey badger. He don't give a damn what you think. He don't care. So he was asked about this on a podcast, and forgive me, I don't know which podcast this is. I'll find it for you. I think it's Barstool podcast. And anyway, he was asked about the whole eating W's and where it came from. So here you are, folks. Here's Jameis Winston. Enjoy.
About eating a dub?
Yes, let's talk about it.
Oh,
let's talk about it.
You got one up there. That looks good. That looks like a good dub. You want to eat it?
Put it in the oven a little bit more.
How long have you been eating dubs?
I've been eating W's, since the beginning. It started a long, long time ago, and that's because my last name is W, and the first four letters of my last name spells out wins.
Yep.
Go and fact check me. It's probably right on Wikipedia.
I'll be damned.
But I've been. It all stemmed from one of my favorite motivational speeches, and it all surrounds about a bowl of. Do y'all remember the soup, the alphabet soup?
Yes.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
I always just talk about like, hey, we scraping the bowl today. We eating up everything, right? And we only looking for dubs in the alphabet soup. There's a lot of different options out there, but we looking for W's. We eating all the W's in the alphabet soup. But this one game, like ironically, the true thing happened in New Orleans. I'm talking, and I'm inspiring the guys like, hey, like what we eating today? Like I already had the alphabet soup conversation early in the year. You know what I'm saying?
Put it in their head.
And we ate the W. I was like, what we eating? I was like, we're eating W's. Like, what this is? You know what I'm saying? It's a W. We eating that W. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I took the W out the soup. I already had the W ready and prepared.
Yeah.
I think it went left when I started actually eating the W.
Yes, I agree.
And when I ate the real W, and then proceeded to dap up Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
I think that was the worst person to dap up. Because Deshaun from Cali, he already Hall of Famer. First, he don't got no time for no eat the W's. He looking like, give me some touchdowns. Give me the ball, Jameis. Like, hey, worry about no eat the W. And when I try to dap him up, and the eye contact we made doing that, I think it was a powerful speech. It really
was. Yeah,
man, I was banged up. I had a grade 3 AC sprain. I'm going in. I'm fighting that. Like, and we've been losing. How are we gonna wheel this team to get a win in the Superdome? My first NFL win was against Drew Brees and beating the Saints in the Superdome. So I'm just like, I got good vibes here. You know what I'm saying? We didn't win that game, but I felt it was powerful.
Crushed. It was powerful. I mean,
wow.
Where it went left was where it went.
Dude, he is a nut.
He's a nutball. He's just a nutball. And if you go back to Hard Knocks, when Fitz was on the team, and he would do these rhymes before they would go out for the games, and they just got more ridiculous and more ridiculous and more. And he was so playing to the camera, as you knew Jameis would be during the whole. When they did Hard Knocks, I was like, oh no, oh God, Jameis
star is born.
Hokey Jameis is going to be in full display. And so he started doing these rhymes, and there was one that just went on and on and on. And there was so later on, they're out on the field, and Jameis looks over at Fitz, goes, was that rhyme too long? He goes, yeah, man. It kind of got a little long. Let's keep him a little bit short. He goes, okay. Yeah. I think that was too long. And can you imagine Fitz must have just been going, oh my God. What is this guy doing? What are we doing? And he's reciting the rhymes along because he's the quarterback guys. They had to recite the rhymes after.
Yeah.
I know some of you guys never want to hear from Jameis again. I get it. I think he's hilarious. And I don't want to be at the expense of the Buccaneers, but I just want to see Jameis have some success in this league. Just have some fun. He's a great guy. And I know he gets a lot. I know a lot of you don't know him the way I've known him. And you talk to his teammates and they freaking love this guy. He will do anything for anybody. He's the ultimate pleaser. And I've said this so much about Jameis. His biggest strengths are his biggest weaknesses. Mm-hmm. He wants to please everybody. He wanted to throw Deshaun wanted the ball all the time. So he tried to force the ball to him. He can't do that. He wanted to get to Mike Evans for, certain records and stuff like that. You can't do that, man. You got to play the game the way the defense presents it. And Jameis wanted to make everybody happy and everybody on his team. And you can't play football that way. You just can't. And, he's his own, and his competitiveness, he can't give up on a play. He can't throw the damn ball away. Mm-hmm. He just can't do it. He's got it to a fault. Yeah. He wants to win so badly. You just can't play that way though. And, I think, when he was playing his first year under God, I have so many brain farts this morning. The coach.
Bowles? I mean,
in New Orleans.
Peyton.
Yeah, Sean Payton.
Sorry.
Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. I need another. I just opened my Celsius. It hasn't hit me yet. He had him. I think he was 14 touchdowns in 3 interceptions, and they were playing the Bucs, and he took them right down the field, torched the Bucs defense, and it would look like it was going to be a big day for Jameis, and that's when he got horse collared by Devin White, and he tore his ACL. Mm-hmm. And because Sean Payton had him throwing the ball about 22, 25 times a game, probably reading the field maybe 8 to 10 times a game. Everything else was a pre-read, throw, screen, situations like this. So he had Jameis under control and was making the most of his abilities and keeping him out of, you can't let Jameis throw the ball 48 times and, drop back and read the field like Bruce Arians had him doing. It just was never going to work for him. It was just not going to work. I don't want to make excuses for him, but I would have liked to seen how that played out for Jameis, not at the Bucs' expense, but I think there's something in there, man. The guy can throw the football down the field. He can throw with anticipation. He just has to learn to control the stupidity, at times and the bad decisions that he makes. But anyway, thank you for that, Jameis.
Yeah, and I always liked him as a dude. I mean, I never met him. Obviously, don't know him like you do, but I love his interviews. I love watching him on camera. I just never thought he was very good at football.
Yeah, I mean, he threw for 5,000 yards, man.
I know.
He threw for 5,000 yards and 33 touchdowns. And people don't, if he doesn't play those last two games, he may have gotten a long-term contract in Tampa Bay. Tom Brady never would have been here. Thank God he did that because he wanted to show up for his team.
Yeah.
He had a torn knee ligament and a broken right thumb. And he went out and he had no Mike Evans and no Chris Godwin and went out and played.
Yeah.
How the hell his agent allowed him to do that? I'll never know, because it cost him a ton of money. But, it made Bruce Arians. And that was, after that last pick six against the Falcons that ended the 19 season, that was the time. And then he went into the press conference, and for the first time, Jameis kind of bit back, and he was tired of people banging on him for the interceptions and everything else and belittling him in the press conference. He hadn't taken the bait all year long, but in that press conference, he kind of did, and he shot back, and he was like, check your sheet, man. I'm balling. Check your sheet. If I just stop throwing it to the other team, I mean, we're scoring points. We're putting points. And it was like, yeah, dude, but you don't get it. Like, you can't throw it to the other team. That's the whole deal, bro. You can't do that. You got to stop. And he could never get it. At that point, Bruce was like, he ain't never going to get it. He's never going to understand. We got to go in a different direction.
That 30-30 season, I think early on kind of solidified his legacy, right? I mean, at least his perception, his perceived legacy.
That was the 2019 season. He had 33 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. And he had 24 interceptions, which is way too many. Mm-hmm. But when you have 33 touchdowns, you can kind of swallow that a little bit, right? And 5,000 yards. It's like, okay, we can dial this back a little bit. We can get him to where he needs to be. But when you get to the 30 interception mark and you throw a pick six at the end of the game, with stupid pick six, like just a dumb throw in a situation where you're backed up against your own goal line in overtime, and just a quintessential Jameis Winston brain fart, and you just go, what are you gonna do? You can do. You can't work with that. Yeah. You can't work with. And then when the guy goes to the press conference and still doesn't understand what you just did, man, I love the pick of Jameis. I love his competitiveness. I loved his ability, his accuracy, his willingness to throw the ball down the field. The guy had a lot that you love in big time quarterbacks, but those other things he just could not get past them. And maybe he learns in his old age. I don't know. I would just like to see him, have another opportunity. He might get one. Who knows? I don't know where that's going to come or how it's going to come, but you never see it coming. Like, who thought Geno Smith was going to have a renaissance, right? Hell, nobody even thought Baker Mayfield was going to have a renaissance. Joe Flacco. I mean, stranger things have happened. So
sure,
we'll see down the road for him. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side. We're going to hear from Raheem Morris, another former Buccaneer, as he gets everybody charged up in Atlanta. And I think there's some interesting things happening there and what it means for the Buccaneers as well. We got to watch what's going on in Atlanta, folks. They could be coaching Baker Mayfield. So we'll do that when we come back. We're brought to you by the great folks at Synovus Bank, the big bank with a local feel. Go in there and ask my good buddy John Acosta. Like many of the employees there, he's been in banking here locally for 30, 40 years. It's a great local feel for a big bank. Synovus.com. Check them out. Tell them JP sent you. Back at 3.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation. 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
At a Celsius here this morning. The peach vibe is really good.
I've never had one of those.
You haven't?
I'm a Red Bull guy.
Of all the energy drinks I've ever had, this one, it just hits me a different way. I don't know what it is. It just gets my brain working. I have these times when I can't remember Sean Payton's name. I mean, are you kidding me? How do you? I just got to get these brain farts.
You can remember Jameis Winston's stats from 2019, but you can't remember Sean Payton's name.
Yeah, it's like what the hell is going on? There are just some certain days where the synapse is just like, it's embarrassing. It really is. I'm sorry guys, but this is once I have one of these, honestly, my brain fires better. It just fires better. These as well. This Tisa thing I'm wearing here. Make your mom happy. I love this hat.
That's nice.
These are the neither one of them sponsors on the show, by the way. Tisa, this healthy dip right here.
Mm-hmm.
They're like little tobacco-free pouches of all kinds of herbs and things. I don't know what they are. Just come like that, and you just stick them in your like you're dipping. And they all give you a nice energy boost, focus boost, all that stuff. So
nice.
Yeah. When you get old, man, you need a lot of help. So coffee just doesn't work anymore. So I got to get a little bit of some other stuff going.
Problem is when I start drinking a Red Bull, I'm compelled to go put some vodka in it, regardless of the time of day.
It's funny. It's funny you say that because when I drink a Red Bull, because I used to drink vodka Red Bull a lot.
A lot. Me too.
And if I don't, like when I drink a Red Bull, I'm like, why does this not have vodka in it? It tastes weird. Like the way, oh, wait a minute.
Oops.
By the way, kids, stay away from the vodka Red Bull. Not good for you. Not good for you. For old people like us,
we need it.
We need it. There are times when it's like midnight and you're like, oh, I can't believe I'm still out. Give me a vodka Red Bull.
Well, it's usually my first 1 or 2 drinks of the night when I go out. I got to do at least 1, maybe 2 vodka Red Bulls.
Because 9 o'clock is past our bedtime already. So
and I'm
with these going out at 9 o'clock.
I'm with these
do a vodka Red Bull.
I'm with these 20-something-year-old girls that they're just starting their night, and I'm like, can we just go to bed?
Well, that's you stud. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a rough life, man.
Let's just quit all the shenanigans and just go to bed.
Yeah.
All right. I want to jump into some of our comments today. We haven't got the comment section yet today. This is an interesting one from our good friend John Hill that just popped up. How about this one? Rumors that Mike Vrabel replacing Robert Saleh as New York Jets head coach before the draft. Ooh.
I never liked that Robert Saleh hire to begin with, and it's not working out.
I love me some Robert Saleh.
I like him as a coordinator.
Yeah. I liked him for the first time I saw him was in Sanford when the 49ers came to Tampa. What is that music?
We got we got reading comments music.
Oh, reading comments music. Oh, good. Well, I like that. Thank you for adding that. I'm like, that's interesting. Air Cecil says if they let Atlanta sign Baker away, it's going to be hard for me to keep supporting them. I will reluctantly, but good grief. That's interesting from the fan base. The fan
might not be their choice.
Well, it is your choice. It is your choice. I can't believe that if the Bucs matched whatever Atlanta was giving him, that Baker wouldn't stay.
Yeah, but if Atlanta just overpays for him, then Tampa can't match that. They can't do that. We just talked about that.
I mean, if they overpay, yes, you're right. You don't. There's a certain threshold that you go to. So I would agree with that. So Air Cecil, I mean, if Atlanta's going to pay him $45 million a year and lock him up for 4 years,
he's gone.
I got to say good luck with that.
There's nothing Tampa can do about that.
I mean, you at that point, you can't build around him. You're basically saying you're the guy who has to elevate the entire team and win the game. I don't think it's a great strategy. Now, Atlanta's in a little different spot than the Bucs. Their players or their playmakers are younger. They're not Godwin and Evans. They're Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson. So they're in a little bit of a different situation. So they've got a lot of guys on rookie contracts that can absorb that for a couple of years. But, if those last 2 years of Baker at 45, you better win the Super Bowl in the next couple of years. Or, you're going to be.
That's going to be a killer if that's what happens.
I just think that they have enough players, have enough talent in that team that they could give up a second-round pick for Justin Fields and it not really hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta, the fans want him. They're going crazy about it. And then you look at the fan base and they go Baker Mayfield. The fan base will absolutely, even though they saw his success in Tampa, the fan base, if they know, and they know that there's a choice between Justin Fields and Baker Mayfield, the fan base will lose their effing minds. They will. I'm telling you, that they see this as Michael Vick 2.0. We screwed up. We lost him in the draft. We should have drafted him. We got another opportunity to get him for a second-round pick. Are you out of your mind? Go get him.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you, and a lot of you folks don't believe in Justin Fields, and I don't know if he's an upper-tier quarterback. I don't know, and you don't know either. You didn't think Brock Purdy was, but he is. So you never know. You put him in this Rams system with his athleticism and what he showed at the second half of the season with those playmakers,
it's gonna be fun to watch.
I don't think the Bucs. Well, I think which team would be the favorite if they sign Justin Fields? Who's the favorite? And they go and draft another wide receiver in this draft.
I will always pick against Justin Fields because I think he's terrible.
Okay. All right. Did you watch the second half of the season?
I did. And he wasn't horrible, but he wasn't great either. I didn't think so.
All right.
I mean, he's on the Bears, so I can only watch so much.
Yeah, exactly. John Hill says Iowa State beat both Kansas and Kansas State. Go Clones. Okay. All right, Iowa State. Go Clones. Nathan Elliott, back away from Justin Fields crack. He will be known as Coach Killer.
Agree, Nathan. Agree.
Maybe again, I'm not saying he's great. I said I saw some glimpses in the second half of the season, plus Chicago, awful what they did to him and around him. I think it's an untold story, and the dude's got some ability. You can't say.
I mean, you know who else showed glimpses in Chicago? Mitchell Trubisky.
Well, that was only against the Bucs, so that doesn't count. I'll never forget that week.
Oh God, looked like a freaking Pro Bowler out there.
The week before, the Chicago Sun-Times does a huge expose showing about how bad Trubisky is against the blitz. Like, he's just terrible. The week before, he threw like 3 picks against the blitz. He's just terrible. So what does Mike Smith do? Goes in and, they're going to think we're going to blitz because they had blitzes him one time, almost forces a pick in the first half, and Trubisky throws for 5 touchdowns. He's playing cover 2, rush 4 the whole freaking game.
I forgot about Mike Smith.
I'm like, what? And I love Mike. Mike was good to me in Atlanta. He was such a good man, and he is a good man. He's a great man. I love him to death. But, man, I'm sure he even looks back at that game plan and says,
what was I doing?
Probably not my finest moment. Yes, Jimmy Lighthall is the man. James, what about the other kid, the leading scorer, Pryor? We talked about Casey on Pryor. USF basketball tonight. Herbert needs a defense. We already put that one. Dathan says, sorry, JP, not making excuses for Herbert, just saying the truth. If Purdy didn't have a good defense, he would not be the same guy. Well, I think San Diego had a decent defense. They have certainly had some good players on that side of the ball. Staley was a bit of a knucklehead. I'm not saying he's not. But I just think, I think we make a lot of excuses for Justin Herbert because he's so freaking talented. We got to start seeing some stuff.
Best quarterback out of that draft. I predicted it at the draft. And it's just now coming to fruition because he's just now seeing the field. Jordan Love.
Wow. I mean, his end of his season, everybody said that guy will never be anything, right? You got to give these guys a little bit of opportunity, folks. It takes a while to figure this stuff out in the NFL. It ain't easy, So don't throw in the towel on everybody. Yes, when Jameis still does think he's the number 1 pick in it. Yes, he will never. That dude will never lose confidence. Nathan says he listens to Otis Leverett more than he listens to his agent and coaches. The check your sheets comes from Otis. Just that name, Otis, man. It makes me think of was it Otis at brain farting again? Mayberry RFD or
Andy Griffith show.
Yeah,
the town drunk. He was always the guy that was in jail, right, for being drunk.
Yeah, he
sleeping
would
it
lock
off.
himself in jail. He'd walk in and put himself in jail.
I feel like that might be my future.
If Atlanta signed Baker Way, it's going to be hard for me to keep support. We already played it. Sorry, showed that one. Nathan says Atlanta, they want Fields for multiple reasons. Baker would be dissed by that fan base for others. I'm telling you, Atlanta can't sign Baker Mayfield over Justin Fields. They can't do it. The town will revolt. Absolutely
crazy.
If you suddenly read a Field, that it might be a big problem. I'm talking about Justin Fields, yeah. But again, what Scott was talking about is this Rams offense where your quarterback is on the move and he's reading half the field. It just makes things simpler in terms of the reads. It takes advantage of the athleticism of the player. It's just it's not every player is a Tom Brady, sit back in the pocket, read the field, beat you that way. It's hard to do. It's really, really hard to do. So these I definitely agree with that. Bucks interviewed Larry Izzo for special teams coordinator today. Thank God. Keith Armstrong, God bless you, had a great career. But man, the special teams have been so bad for so long around here for the Bucks. And this is the thing about this coaching staff, folks. We're talking about the guys that we lost, and Dave Canales and Gilbert and Harold Godwin and Keith Armstrong. All great guys, and I don't mean to disparage them, but you look at the performance and the production of their segments, dead last in the run game. We can do better. Special teams, bottom third all the time in terms of coverage units. We can do better. And we can add a Larry Izzo to this coaching staff, bring some fire to this coaching staff a little bit. You go get a crazy ass offensive line coach that adds some fire and run game coordinator. There's some good guys out there. that Liam Coen will be bringing in. I'll be interested to hear what he talks about today. Maybe those guys are already hired. We'll get those announcements today. But I think this is an opportunity for the Bucs to do better, like in a lot of different areas. So, look, I don't think Atlanta will make the play for Baker as strong as people think. They may make the play to try to drive the price up. But I think Jason Light gets this done before he hits free agency. Just the way Baker is talking, I think they all come to it. And I don't think he's going to try to go for the bag and bleed the Bucs. I just don't think he's going to do it. I think he realizes that's not the play. He can get $100 million. He can make $120 million over the next 4 or 5 years if he surrounds himself with other good players and they win and the Bucs win. And they've got a good chance to do that in this division. So, yeah.
Well, and I don't think the Bucs would disrespect him with a low ball offer either, right? Like I don't see Light being that guy.
No.
And it would be in their best.
K-Dub4 is not a fan of your music.
Well, you know what, K-Dub4? We'll just pull it down for you. How you like that?
No, I don't. We don't have to acquiesce to all of our listeners.
All right. Well, it's back up now.
No, I kind of like the music. K-Dub4. No, I'm turning it off.
Is he the same guy that told me that? No, it was TJC22 that told me to change the TV station one time.
Yeah. A lot of demands. From
Man, I tell you what, I'm not
Just
married. I don't need this kind of pressure. That's why I got divorced.
Shut up and listen.
I have to listen to people.
TJC22 inside a clean pocket. Remove checks down and screen. Justin Fields is the 4th least accurate quarterback in the NFL since 2021. Only Zappy, Watson, and Levis are worse. Ooh, that's an indictment, TJC. Look at, it takes a while for guys to get it. I'm not saying he's going to be the greatest thing in the world, but listen, I'm trying to build him up, TJC, so Atlanta takes him.
Right.
Take Baker. All right. Can you see what I'm doing here? I know Raheem and Rich McKay, they watch the show. All my Atlanta buddies watch the show. So I'm going to get it in their head. Justin Fields is the man. He will light that town on fire. Let's go. Leave Baker Mayfield alone. Get it?
I do.
We're moving the needle here at the JP Peterson
We are.
Show.
We are.
All right. Well, speaking of Atlanta, let's listen to Ra. Let's listen to Raheem, his opening introductory comments at the press conference yesterday in Atlanta as he was introduced to the media there. And
Raheem.
It's not Bill Belichick.
About the quarterback, we got a real good vision, right? And obviously it'd be a shared vision between myself, Terry, and our coaching staff and a lot of his scouting staff and the people that we're going to involve in that whole process. But we got a real clear understanding of what it looks like in Atlanta, right? We've seen it at a very high level, right? And what was Matt Ryan? You talked about just the people that you've coached. And I just come from a real clear what it looks like quarterback when you're talking about Matthew Stafford. But when you get those guys that are elite processors, when you get those guys that are decision makers, when you get those guys that can just cut it loose and play ball, and also play with those great fundamental techniques that we're talking about, the base, the balance, the short hitches in the pocket, some of those things, it makes you excited, right? To go out there and find those things, right? Sometimes not easy to see, right? Obviously, you got to look at some college tape. Sometimes you can see a little bit more in free agency tape. Sometimes you can visualize that thing, how you can trade, right? But you got all those windows out there. You got all those avenues. But I got a lot of confidence in the people that are going to be able to help me be a part of finding our next quarterback to move forward.
Ooh. Sound like he was talking about Baker?
A little bit. Let me ask you this. Raheem.
Sound like he was talking about Justin Fields.
No. Or anybody they have on their current roster. So it's at this point probably not fair to judge Raheem Morris on his previous head coaching outing as long ago as it was, as young as he was. He's got a ton more experience. I get it. I kind of understand the hire for Atlanta.
Yeah.
As a Bucs guy and a former Atlanta guy,
yeah.
How scared are you of Atlanta now with just not what they do at quarterback, but just with him as the head coach now? Like, how much does that move your needle? Like, crap. Like, maybe we got to worry about Atlanta now.
It's a great question, Tim. And as a great broadcaster and a great producer and a great salesperson, I'm going to take that question under advisement and tease to the next segment. So you guys have to listen to our very important sponsors for one last break, because I have some definite thoughts on my man Ra, and I will share one of my favorite stories about Raheem, the head coach, coaching me up in, well, we'll just leave it there.
It's a good
Rob
tease.
was coaching me up one night, and there was Red Bull and vodka.
Yes.
In the story as well. So there you go. And a little cornhole. So
All right.
that's my tease. We are brought to you by the great folks at the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. Get that free case evaluation from Scott Jeeves, who will be joining us this week to talk about the FSU lawsuit. I gave him some homework to go over it. He has some very interesting thoughts about it, and we'll be doing that this week. So Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. Back in 3 with some great Raheem stories. Stay with us. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA 2-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
Is getting a home equity line a good idea right now with rates so high? Well, I put that question to my good friend Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services, and he says it all depends on where you're at financially. Many of us with ridiculous inflation have been charging up those credit cards, right? At 29% interest, hoping to catch up, but that ain't happening. Those interest payments are killing you. So yes, a consolidation loan and tapping into that crazy equity in your house is a great idea. That strategy can drop your monthly nut by thousands of dollars and stop wasting money on those interest payments. Fitz, the mortgage guy, has done thousands of loans for the past 25 years in Tampa Bay. Just did one for a former colleague who was a manager for a big bank mortgage division. He knows Scott is an independent broker and can get him a way better deal than at his own big bank. AMS Tampa has way lower overhead and gives you the savings. So if you're worried about fees and closing costs, have the free consultation with Scott and look at the actual numbers. It may shock you what he can do. Be smart. Stay one step ahead. Email Fitz at scott@amstampa.com, scott@amstampa, or call 813-294-7595. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722. American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa first.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here as we roll on this Tuesday, Super Bowl week, leading up to what should be a great game on Sunday. But we're more, Tim Ham joining me here, IndyCar Tim from our DSP affiliate. Thanks to all our great sponsors. And yes, we're going to play a little bit of Toby Keith here as we kind of close out the show here and talk a little bit about Toby. But first, so when Rob became the head coach, I was working over at News Channel 8 here locally, the NBC affiliate. So we had our deal with the Buccaneers, and I was doing local radio as well. And I've known Rob for quite some time. He had been an assistant defensive backs coach, Rondé's coach, worked under Mike Tomlin. And everybody saw Raw as the next Mike Tomlin. They're very similar, high energy defensive backs, coaches that really related to the players really, really well. They were young, and all that stuff. And so you got to remember why Raheem got hired. The Bucs were going through, or the Glazers were were trying to buy Manchester United. And there were 3 in this collective bargaining agreement, I think had expired, or it was in transition. And there were 3 uncapped seasons. Well, going along with the uncapped season there was no floor either. So the Glazers basically told John Gruden, "Hey man, we're not going to be getting any free agents. We're not. You just got to build all the way through the draft and do this rebuild through the draft." To which he said, "F that, F you," and they said, "F you to you," and bye bye. So, and now the Bucs were like, "All right, what are we going to do at head coach?" Well, we ain't going out and getting some veteran head coach. We're not going big game hunting for Bill Parcells again. We're not, because we don't want to pay the money. And we got to get a guy that's going to come in here and kind of, build through the draft, not ask any questions, and be thankful for being a head coach and is cheap. Hey, everybody says this Raheem Morris guy is going to be a great head coach. Why don't we just elevate him now? And that's how he got the gig. Very energetic, charismatic guy. Well, unfortunately for Ra, he was not ready. He was not ready at 32 years old. And he literally was out drinking with the players around town and became best friends with everybody in South which was great. I mean, that's
good way to go about it. Yeah.
33 years old. Like he's getting, he's making $1 million a year, would go out and have some fun. I could still coach football. These guys will still listen to me. And of course they won 10 games one year, for God's sakes. That's nothing to shake your head at. It's not easy. There's a lot of good coaches in the league that have never won 10 games. Right. So, was one night we were out at a local watering hole down on Bay to Bay, and they used to have this outside area where we play cornhole. So it's like 1:00 in the morning, and and I hear there's a commotion going on out there, So I go out there, and there's Ra with the big chalkboard. He's literally setting up this cornhole game for a bunch of drunks at the bar, and he's buying drinks for everybody. I mean, it was just fantastic. He's like, JP, get over here. You're on this team. You're on, like, he's drawing, like he's coaching up everybody in cornhole. The people that couldn't throw, he's like, no, take your arm and extend towards the target.
He's coaching
everybody up. And, bring shots for everybody. This is how you do it. I'm like, that's my coach. That is my coach right there.
Oh, that's awesome.
But probably not what you should have been doing as a head coach in the NFL, right?
Right.
And so he got really close to his players, and probably too close, because it's hard to hold a guy accountable on Thursday at practice when you were out Wednesday night, drinking with him.
Yeah, getting drunk with him.
It's probably hard to do, right? So, Raheem learned, and he learned on the job for many, many years. I was listening to a clip of Matt Ryan talking about Raheem, because Raheem was on the coaching staff in Atlanta when I was there working, and also when Matt was there. And of course, they went to the Super Bowl and had Tom Brady beat. That was Raheem's defense. He's also coaching he's coached offense, he's coached defense, he's coached both sides. And he was talking about how Raheem would bounce around and be good at everything. He relates to his players incredibly well, even though he's a little bit older now. But he also, as Matt said, I've watched him do that. He holds them accountable.
Yeah.
He holds them accountable. If you can relate to them and still hold them accountable, and Bruce Arians had a great way of doing this. Really, really saw it, and I don't think Todd Bowles does as much. So, but Raheem has a great rapport with these guys where he can get the most out of them and relate to them, but also hold them accountable. And that's the secret sauce right there. If you can do both, that's where coaches can be really, really successful in this league. So I think Raheem has matured a lot. I watched a lot of the press conference yesterday. He clearly won the press conference. The media is enamored with him. A lot of the media up there I worked with had been asking me over the last, week or so, what about Ra? How do you think he's going to do? And I said, I think it's his time. It's past time that he got another shot. He's worked with McVay. He won a Super Bowl with McVay. he's put in his time. He's learned from the best and learned from many. Learned from Tony Dungy. Learned from Mike Tomlin. Learned from Sean McVay. That's a lot of different influences there. And he's a good collaborator. And he and Terry Fontenot will put together a good staff. They've already started to do that with Zach Robinson, their offensive coordinator from the Rams. They just got to get quarterback right. And whether they go for Justin Fields or they draft or they aggressively move up to draft a quarterback, they're going to have to get that right. That's going to determine his success. Let's just be honest about that. So who's that guy going to be? And listen to them talk, it sounds more like they're leaning towards a free agent guy. And I think that makes more sense for them because where they're at right now, they've already got a lot of good young players. They got a lot of good play. I think Baker Mayfield is a good fit for them, to be quite honest. Maybe more so than Justin Fields, but how much does Arthur Blank going to take into consideration the fan base? I think when you're making football decisions, that should never be part of it. Never be part of it. But you're an owner. You sell tickets. It's a big part of it for those guys. It's entertainment, right? So I think to me, I don't see them drafting a young quarterback to lean on right now, maybe for the future. So I think they go the free agent route. And so you've got Kirk Cousins, you've got Baker Mayfield, you got Justin Fields. Who else? Tannehill.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at Zach Robinson, their OC, who fits that system the best. Well, he knows Baker. Work with Baker. He doesn't know Justin Fields, but certainly, they've done their homework on him. They've seen him. They've played against him. They know who he is and what he is. So I think it's going to be a fascinating offseason where Atlanta goes because I think that team is ready to take the next step if they get the right guy. And I hope it's not Baker.
So what's his history then with working with quarterbacks? I mean, does he have any? Like, do you think there's any chance that he likes Desmond Ridder and they just decide to hang? And
no, I think that time that whole deal has gone. I think they'll probably look at him as a backup or just not bring him back at all.
Kind of sounded like it from the presser we heard, right? Like,
yeah. I don't, it's personnel decisions in your opening presser or, usually, it's a lot of things are asked, but I don't think you get any real answers out of that.
Yeah.
So, I think that sounds more like they want to go the free agent route. So we'll see. But I think, and K-Dub said it, and I've said this before and I'll stick to it. I think the Falcons are closer to I want to know about a lot closer to Super Bowl appearance than the Bucs. I think, other than quarterback, look, they have a top 10 defense. They have a top 10 defense. And look at the playmakers they have on offense. Bijan Robinson, that dude is a badass.
Yeah.
He's a player. Drake London is a player. Kyle Pitts. Yeah, we haven't seen much, but I think there's more there, right? Tyler Algier. You got 2,000-yard running backs. You got a decent offensive line. You got some players. 2 good tight ends. I mean, that's a team that is closer than we think. So,
I see a lot of talent on that roster, but I have yet to see them do anything with it.
I know.
Feel like Kyle Pitts is being wasted. His career is fading away quickly in Atlanta.
Yeah.
London, is he going to be anything? I think so, but he's not yet. Is it just because he doesn't have a quarterback throwing him the ball?
Yeah, I think I saw a lot of he torched the Bucs pretty good. You see really, really good stuff from him. All right, before we go, at the risk of being copyrighted, I know we could play this on our radio station at 102.5 HD2, which you can listen to us now, by the way, live every day, 10 to 12. Toby Keith passed away at the age of 62, stomach cancer. I was a huge Toby Keith fan. Loved his patriotism. Loved American Soldiers, one of my favorite songs. This song, we're going to play Toby Keith number 2. Or let's play a little bit. Let's play a snippet of Toby Keith number 1.
Okay.
And then we'll play it out to Toby Keith number 2.
Yeah. How do you like me now and Should Have Been a Cowboy are 2 of my go-to karaoke songs.
How do you like me now? Great video too, with my old intern video. Tiffany Fallon in it. Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
All right, here's
great Tiffany.
Here's a little bit of Toby.
This was at the Trump inauguration, and the scene in front of the White House was just pretty incredible.
Killed it.
Yeah. Very patriotic with the flag in the background.
I'm just trying to be a father.
I love that
Raise
voice.
a daughter and a son. Be a lover to their mother. Everything to everyone. Up and out of bright and early. Small business in my suit. I'm dressed up for success. My head down to my boots.
Oh man, so good, so good.
That voice, man, I get goosebumps.
Oh man, the whole orchestra there. All right, let's play this number 2 one, which is very prophetic song that he played at the Country Music Awards, and we'll play it out to this and just say thank you for the great memories. Been to many a Toby Keith concert, just absolutely fantastic vibe, and this one way too prophetic. And there's a line in this song. It's like, how old would you think you are if you didn't know the day you were born? How old would you act if you didn't know the day you were born? It's a great line. Anyway, have a great day, everybody, as we send it out to Toby Keith.
Don't let the old man in. I want to live me some more. Can't leave it up to him.
He's already starting to look a little frail from the stomach cancer.
He's knocking on my door.
Still got the voice, though.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew all of my life that someday it would end. Get up and go outside.
Yep.
Don't let the old man in.
Have a great day, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow.
Moons I have lived. My body's weathered and worn. Just ask yourself, how old would you be if you didn't know the day you were born? Try to love on your wife and stay close to your friends.